Hello friends, happy Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, October 28th. I hope you had a great time doing all of your specials today. Make sure to have your attendance count today that you go to Google Classroom and answer the question that Mrs. Vitello and Mrs. Buchanan have posted in our Google Classroom for you. Okie dokie artichokes, I'm going to read you one book and I'm going to sing you one song tonight. This book is adorable. It's called Sophie's Squash. It's by Pat Zietlow Miller and Ann Wilsdorf. Which season do you think this book takes place in? Summer? Spring? Fall? Or autumn? All right, here we go. One bright fall day, Sophie chose a squash at the farmer's market. Her parents planned to serve it for supper, but Sophie had other ideas. Have you ever been to the farmer's market in Corvallis? It was just the right size to hold in her arms, just the right size to bounce on her knee. Just the right size to love. I'm glad we met, Sophie whispered. Good friends are hard to find. At home, Sophie used markers to give her squash a face. Then she wrapped it in a blanket and rocked it to sleep. When it was time to make supper, Sophie's mother looked at the squash. She looked at Sophie. I called her Bernice, Sophie said. I'll call for a pizza, said her mother. It doesn't look like Bernice is going to get eaten for dinner. What do you think? After that, Bernice went everywhere with Sophie, to story time at the library, to visit other squash at the farmer's market, to practice somersaults by the garden. Every night, Sophie gave Bernice a bottle, a hug, and a kiss. Well, we did hope she'd love vegetables, Sophie's mother told her father. Shh, Sophie said. Bernice is sleeping. Do you think this is what her parents were hoping when they hoped she loved vegetables? What do you think? Bernice is sleeping. Sweet Pea, Sophie's mother said one morning as they made blueberry waffles. Bernice is a squash, not a friend. If we don't eat her, soon she'll get mushy and gross. Let's bake her with marshmallows. Won't that taste yummy? Don't listen, Bernice, Sophie cried. That afternoon, Sophie's father took her shopping. Sugar Beet, he said, Bernice is a squash. Why don't you pick a nice toy to play with instead? But the trucks were too hard and the dolls were too soft. Sophie clutched Bernice tightly. No thanks, she said. I have everything I need. After supper, Sophie's parents called a family meeting. Bernice napped in Sophie's lap. Why don't we donate Bernice to the food pantry before she rots, her father suggested. Sophie shook her head. Bernice will last forever. Bernice seems a little blotchy, said Sophie's dad on the way to the library one day. She looks perfect to me, Sophie replied. At story time, some kids pointed and stared. What's that spotty thing? A boy asked. Her name is Bernice and she's a squash, Sophie said, with freckles. Maybe Bernice should stay home next time, Sophie's mom suggested. Why? Sophie asked. She wasn't the one being rude. Still, as winter neared, Sophie started notice changes. Bernice seemed softer and her somersaults lacked their usual style. Visiting friends will cheer you up, Sophie said. At the farmer's market, squash were everywhere. Firm, shiny squash. "What keeps a squash healthy?" Sophie asked a farmer. "It's simple, really," he said. "Fresh air, good clean dirt, a little love." Well, Sophie thought, I have all that. At home, Sophie cleared leaves from Bernice's favorite spot. She made a bed of soft soil, tucked Bernice in, and kissed her goodnight. "Get better soon," she whispered. That night, while Sophie slept, the wind whistled and tiny snowflakes fell. When she awoke, the world was covered in white. "Do you think Bernice is cold out there?" Sophie asked her mother. "I'm sure she's warm and cozy under her snow blanket," her mother replied. Sophie gazed out the window all morning. She was still there in the afternoon when her father came home with a surprise. "You need a new friend," he said. Meet Ace. Ace was nice but boring. He just swam around and around in his bowl. But during the long winter, Sophie discovered that Ace was a superb silent reader who did fabulous flip turns, and he always listened politely when she talked about Bernice. Bernice was great at keeping secrets. When the snow finally melted, Sophie rushed to the garden. The only thing there was a small green sprout. It looked strangely familiar. "Bernice," Sophie said, "how was your winter?" What do you think will come after the sprout? Squash is kind of like, it's in the pumpkin family. What do you think comes after the sprout? Ooh, after that, Sophie, Ace, and Bernice ate lunch together every day. One bright summer morning, Sophie somersaulted across her yard, landed by the garden, and stared in disbelief. Whoa. Bernice had grown to tiny squash. "Wow," Sophie told them, "you look just like your mom." Soon, Bonnie and Baxter were just the right size for Sophie to hold in her arms and bounce on her knee. Just the right size to love. I love it. And that is called Sophie's Squash. All right, Bernice was kind of like Sophie's buddy. You guys have buddies too. What's your buddy's name? I bet your buddy is the best buddy just for you. I'm going to sing a song called You and Me. This song makes Miss Kara want to cry a little bit. It reminds me of how fast your kids grow up. You guys, 5 years ago, you were babies. You were little babies, and now look how big you are. And in 5 more years, you'll be really big. You'll be 10 or you'll be 11. You'll be really, really, really big. But that will make your parents sad to think about that. So they should just enjoy you while you're 5 or 6 instead of 10 or 11. Okay, here we go. This song is called You and Me. Think of all of the things you like to do with your family.
You and me, happy as can be, flying through the park on our bikes on a Sunday afternoon. You and me, rolling on the floor, practicing your somersaults, your cartwheels, your donkey kicks and more.
Can you do a cartwheel or a somersault?
How did you grow so big overnight? How did you get so smart and bright? Yesterday you were asleep in my arms. Today you're growing off the charts. I'm so proud of you. drawing pictures wild and free, while the paint goes flying. Your big smile, it brightens up the room. You and me reading books in bed, your head on my shoulder, your eyes on the pages ahead. How did you grow so big overnight? How did you get so smart and bright? Yesterday you were asleep in my arms. Today you're growing off the charts. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
And I am quite certain that your family is so proud of you too. I know that Miss Kara is proud of you and Mrs. Adams is proud of you. And maybe you could ask your family, why are you proud of me? And if you ever need someone to remind you of why they're proud of you, you can ask Miss Kara and I can tell you why I'm proud of you. All right, it'll be a different reason for every person. All right, friends, did you brush your teeth? And did you go to get a hug from your family members? I'll give you a big hug and I'll give you lots of kisses. I hope you have a great night. See you tomorrow.